Hey everybody! This is a quick tip video where I'm going to talk about using salt washes in your watercolor paintings. I might do a few quick tip videos every couple weeks, sort of like mini tutorials about different art things. I use salt washes a lot. They're an easy, cheap way to add texture to your paintings. Essentially, the gist is this. You add watercolor to your paper and you sprinkle salt on top. The salt sucks in the watercolor and you get this nifty crystalline pattern. You can layer more salt washes or more paint for different effects. The way I'm going to demonstrate is this. I'm using two paints, one is granulating and one is not granulating, and I have two different kinds of salt. This first paint is Moonglow by Daniel Smith, which is a muted violet 3-pigment blend of anthraquinoid red, which is PR177, ultramarine blue, which is PV29, and viridian, which is PG18. It's one of those magical colors where the ultramarine granulates and then the anthraquinoid red floats to the top. According to the Daniel Smith website, it plays well with salt. This first salt is just basic table salt. The granules are about the same size as white sugar. The second salt is a rock salt, which is probably about 10 times as big. Both you can get at your local grocery store or Bulk Barn. Do they have Bulk Barn outside of Canada? Hopefully. Bulk Barn is awesome. Once I've laid down the salt, I'm adding more paint to the salt on the top half of the swatches and leaving the bottom salt to do its thing with whatever I first laid down for paint, just to show how differently the salt can react. Of course, how the salt wash turns out can vary wildly from piece to piece, but at least if it doesn't turn out the first time, you can do another salt wash on top. The second paint is a mix of M-gram Phthalo blue, which is PB15:3, and M-gram permanent green pale, which is a mix of PG7 and PY3. The mix is largely because they're new paints I just finished swatching that were still wet on my palette. They made this very pretty seafoam green kind of shade though. Why didn't I use another non-granulating Daniel Smith color to demonstrate? Because I literally just thought of it and I've already filmed the painting part of the demonstration, so too late now. I let my salt washes dry overnight and here's what they look like the next day. I really like this tape I'm using, but it's not as adherent as masking tape, so some of the paint from Moonglow leaked into the seafoam green swatches, but I think you still get the idea. Now that they're dry, I can scrape off the salt. I'm using a palette knife here, but you can also use like a plastic card, like your expired health card, totally not speaking from experience, or even a scrap piece of watercolor paper would probably be stiff enough. Ideally, you would be scraping the salt off into a bin, but for the purposes of the demo, I'm scraping on camera before tossing it all. You of course want to be careful not to scratch the paper or rip anything up, but the salt should pop right off with not too much pressure involved. Just remember to be gentle. Oh, and this should probably go without saying, but just in case, don't eat the salt after you've applied watercolor to it. I don't know if you can reuse it for other salt washes, but definitely do not eat it. There are some toxic chemicals in watercolor paint that will likely never harm you, unless you eat them, so don't eat them. The tape did rip up the paper a bit because I was too impatient to apply heat to loosen the adhesive, but once it's off, here are my swatches. The salt does leave behind a bit of a rough texture and some sparkle, but I personally really like how it looks. I think it adds character to a piece, and who doesn't like sparkly things? This is a photo taken with my phone, and I think it shows the colors just a bit better. You can see the salt wash definitely brought out the separation qualities of Moonglow and made the ultramarine that's in the paint pool in some really interesting ways. But if you do have a paint that doesn't granulate and want some granulation-esque effects, salt washes are a great way to cheat that. In other news, I now need to make a painting of these two color combinations, so keep an eye out for that one. So that's it for this quick tip video on making salt washes. I hope you found this video helpful and or enjoyed it. If so, please subscribe for more art videos and give this video a like to help me fight that dang YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you at my next video. Bye!